Thank you, everyone that came today. We are indebted to you and all the work you've been doing. Now, any legislator that has to get back within 5 or 10 minutes, please come forward because we're expecting Governor Bevin to be here. Oh, wait, he's here. Hey. Thank you so much. Thank you. I won't introduce you.
Thank you all. Outstanding. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. This is a good day. Thank you. This is a good day to celebrate life in Kentucky, isn't it? When you are the governor, you are accused of many things, but one of the things that I take great pride is being accused of being the most pro-life governor in America. I love it. I love it. And who would want to be anything other than pro-life? I do not understand why we would want to celebrate the alternative. Who among us would want to celebrate the taking of innocent lives, of not speaking up for those who have no voice, of an unborn child who is being targeted simply for the convenience of somebody else? And the one thing, at the risk of taking this off, that concerns me more than anything else is the idea that this was supposed to be, as we were led to believe, something that was rare, something that was safe and legal. Well, I tell you what, the gild has come off that lily. It isn't about being rare. You look at what has happened in New York, where we had people literally cheering for infanticide, literally cheering at the idea that we would kill a child after it had been born, that we had elected men and women standing up and applauding this. These are the kind of things that we have got to stand in the gap against. As was mentioned a moment ago, we are the watchmen on the wall. We see what's happening. We have a responsibility to speak up. We have a responsibility to speak out. And the idea that we are now seeing come full circle everything that Margaret Sanger wanted. Margaret Sanger, who started Planned Parenthood, was a eugenicist. She was somebody who believed in eugenics. She believed that poor people and people of color were undesirable. And you look at where the abortion clinics are located in America. They are targeting the poor and they are targeting people of color. They have from the beginning, they continue to, and anybody who says otherwise is not being intellectually honest. They are intentionally misleading us. And I will say this, the greatness of America has come from people who were born poor and people of color. I'm telling you, the fabric of America is made up of many threads. We need every one of them. Demographically, economically, morally, spiritually, we have got to protect life at every turn. Every turn. There are many people who are going to follow me. I'm going to keep my comments short for this reason. Many are going to follow me, but I want to introduce you to a man that I'm running for governor with. He's going to be your next lieutenant governor. He's currently a state senator. He is a medical doctor, and I want you to hear about, when Pastor Bly was just talking about people who didn't always believe a certain way, but have come full circle. I want to introduce you to a man who's a medical doctor who always understood this, but had it come home in a very personal way when he was a resident. And I want him to speak this story to you. If you would please welcome Senator Ralph Alvarado.
Well, good afternoon. I'll tell a bit of a story that some of you may have heard about already. I know a lot of my fellow colleagues in the legislature have heard the story, but I talk about it during my experience when I was a resident at the University of Kentucky. Many of you know that I'm a pediatrician. I also do internal medicine. And when I was in residency, we would do a lot of work in the neonatal intensive care unit, where we take care of little preemie babies, often the sickest of our Commonwealth, the 60 sickest kids you might imagine. Every night when you'd be on call, there'd be a board on the wall where you would track to see who was coming, and if you had a very busy night, to track moms at what period of gestation they were, how far they were dilated, to get an estimate of when those babies would be delivered so you could be ready for them when they had to come through. And one night in particular, I was very busy. We saw one mom who was at 21 and a half weeks gestation on the board. And I remember asking my superiors, hey, why is this mom on my board tonight? 21 and a half weeks, that baby's not viable. I got a busy night tonight, you know, and they said, well, this mom is miscarrying. We've done everything we can to slow the delivery down. Very, very close, if you guys can hear me okay. Yeah, there you go, it's better. The concern was that baby's coming, it's gonna be delivered anyway. There's nothing we can do to slow it down. That baby's coming no matter what. And the mother has requested the pediatrician present at the delivery. So they said, whether you like it or not, you're the resident, you're gonna be there tonight. I was a bit annoyed, I have to admit. I thought, I'm busy for this. I'd rather, if a baby's gonna be born and die, I don't wanna have to go watch a baby die. Just wrap it up, hand it to mom, and let mom hold that baby in its last moments. I showed up, and those moments that happened afterwards changed my life, because I sat, and this baby was delivered. It was a 13-ounce baby, 21 and a half weeks, eyelids still fused, paper-thin skin. He was wiggling. I dried him off, heart rate of 20. There was a pediatrician to the right of me who was my attending, and as we were sitting there looking at the baby, not gonna act, she said, intubate that baby. And I looked at her kind of surprised, saying, but this kid's got fused eyelids, it's 21 and a half weeks. She said, it's making an attempt to live. I can't sit here and do nothing. Caught me off guard. I opened up the kit, intubated that child, gave him medication, oxygen, bagged him, got his heart rate up, pinked him up, took him to mom, showed him and said, we're going to the ICU. We put that baby in an incubator in that ICU. We put an armband on his arm. He had a medical record number, and he had a name. And no one questioned whether or not that was a human being or not. We took care of him for 10 days in that ICU. Mom and dad came every day to see him and took care of him. He eventually developed a complication in his bowel that's common for premature babies, and he eventually died. But that child, not knowing, and those parents don't remember me as a resident that night, but that experience changed my life. And we're watching a baby that is defined by the Supreme Court as not being a human being, as a collection of cells, an individual that can be cut up and thrown away right now by our current laws. I've taken care of that individual. I have a face that's ingrained in my mind. That experience is ingrained in my mind forever. That child influenced my life. And if you don't think there's people trying to defeat that, trying to reverse that in this country, we're mistaken. We have to remember that every child from the point of conception is created in the image of God. And we've seen that. So I would encourage you, give modern medicine that opportunity to help those kids survive. 24-week preemies, those kids grow up to be football players, for goodness sake. They're huge, they become normal human beings. We can keep pushing that limit further and further back, give our medical people an opportunity to give those babies a chance for life. Thank you so much, and thanks for being here.
I want to say one final quick thing that I was struck by when he spoke. There is no doubt this is a human life. There are still people that would tell us this is not a human being. I can assure you that they do not only grow up to be football players and any number of other things. There has never been such an individual born at any stage in gestation that has ever turned into a chicken or a fish or a cow. This is a human being. It is only a human being. It's a human being from the beginning. It's a human being all the way to the end. It just is. 100% of the time. It isn't that complicated. The irony is, you know who is the most outraged at the idea of abortion? Children are outraged. Children, when they first hear about what is done to another child, they are innately outraged. Why is that? Because they are fearfully and wonderfully made themselves, and they know that is a human being. At the end of the day, all of this, for all the politics, for all of the noise and the political banter, it is important to remember this is a human being. The last thing I will say is this. If you remember just about a week or two ago, there was an amazing amount of coverage about a little boy in Japan who went home, and this was amazingly covered by the very same people who want us to be able to kill such children in the womb. This little boy was born, he weighed 9.5 ounces. 9.5 ounces when he was born. He was this big, he was a tiny little guy. He has just gone home, he's now 7.5 pounds. The smallest male to have ever been born and lived that people are aware of, but he was no less a human at 9.5 ounces than he is at 7.5 pounds, or that he will be when he's grown up. God bless you. I would challenge you, please, every one of you that's in here, every one of you that came for other things as well, fight for the sanctity of human life, and know that as your governor and as your legislature, we will continue to fight with you every step of the way. Thank you, and God bless you.